played Chains of Command before. It's got some incredibly wonderful quality of life buff this patch. It went from possibly being a very smooth and kind of safe AFK mapper, blighter type thing, to possibly be doing everything in the game. I haven't tried it out yet in terms of that. I haven't pushed to the end game. This is our leveling setup. We have some stuff on here that is better than you would have early in the league, but really doesn't actually do anything for us right now. This just gives life to our Animate Guardian. This just gives a bit of damage, but really not anything special because we haven't scaled Chaos yet. Pretty much probably just worse than a normal uh, weapon in terms of that. Now, what is Chains of Command? How does it work? Most people have no idea about this chess piece. No one plays it. It's very underrated, but has had problems of jank in the past. I will warn you, there is potential jank ahead. Now, so far, it's been very unjanky, wonderfully unjanky. So let's put in a map to show you what's going on here. Because this is basically animate weapon, except the weapon you're animating is this Guardian's weapon. And it goes off normally whenever he gets a kill, or 10% chance on whenever one of the animated weapons gets a kill. But with the new glove that I'm going to show you in a second, it goes off every single time. And that means the mapping starts much faster and much easier to hold up on bosses. We got a delirium here. We are not in any way scaled into our endgame tankiness. We could easily die here. This is a T10 map, no damage mods. This is just to show you how it's like. We're level 86. We do not have 20/20 gems or anything like that. The only thing that we really have is this United in Dreams, which probably is about as good as a 5C weapon without chaos scaling. As you can see, everything's just kind of dying around us. We don't really have to do anything. We're already pretty tanky as a Guardian. We don't have Uber Lab. We don't have all sorts of defensive scaling that we will get eventually. We are going to have much better tankiness at some point. But when you're starting in soft core, when you're leveling, the tankiness is not the highest priority. You want to get enough to live for sure. And you can see, look at how AFK this is. This is great. I just played a build that had 25 buttons. And this build has almost none. In a sense, you could almost sit around AFKing it. Now, let's talk about some of the buffs that happen in this league. There's a new pair of gloves that your animate weapon guardian can wear. That says anything around you that dies counts as you killing it, which means any weapon that would have spawned with a 10% chance is now 100% chance. It's a higher level. Really excellent. You can also put on, what I'm doing right now is he has Spore Guard on. Super good chest piece for this build for your Animate Guardian. Gives 10%, adds extra physical, extra chaos. See, that map boss is a little tanky. Not too bad though. We don't have nearly optimized setups for a lot of different things on here. We don't have our offerings. We don't have all sorts of stuff. We haven't gotten into the actual build yet. This is just using a terminus est for our Animate Guardian and a Spore Guard. Terminus est was 1 chaos, or 2. Spore Guard is 12. So what you need to get this build started, which we will talk about as this map ends, what the gear actually is needed. It's not much. It's actually a great league starter, because you don't even need a 6-link. You can 6-socket your Chains of Command, and it will be a 7-link, almost an 8-link. Because it does have melee splash, and I do believe that you can shotgun, so to speak, with melee splash on Hydrosphere. I played this before Hydrosphere was in the game, so we'll see about if the animate weapon splash works for it. It should, though, I think. As you can see, just AFK, level 86. This energy shield is from Breast Stealer. Breast Stealer is pretty cool, but I think we have to get rid of it because I think we're going Chaos. I do think Chaos probably is the best one endgame, but if it's not, then we'll and we go Impale or Ellie, we will be using these gloves. They're excellent, excellent, super underrated gloves for Ritual and Delve, and anywhere where there's a whole bunch of rares. If you get their auras, just like Headhunter, in that area, they'll follow you. Creates these things on the ground. Now, it's not insanely fast, but for a minion build, it's quite fast. I mean, projectile specters back then were really excellent, but other than that, there weren't that many builds that actually cleared really fast. So that you see that was pretty easy map. We obviously put in no damage mods, but as you can see on the league start, this would not be a problem. We're going to make another video that other than this very soon of the Chaos version, because right now our Animate Guardian, bless his soul, is only using a terminus S. He is not using anything, and we are using physical damage only. We are not converting to Chaos. We are going to switch these for white socketed Triad Grip, which will convert all of our damage into Chaos, and we will put on a Cane of Coolmac onto our Animate Guardian with the poison, chance to poison mod. We will have 100% chance to poison. Our Vile Toxins will go off very easily. Our Wither will go off very easily with Withering Touch, and we should have some damage. We get a ton of Leech. Now, the reason I'm so excited about this, there's a few reasons why. One of them I just found out was a huge disappointment, but one of them is this node. It says minions. Now, see, we didn't even have this allocated yet, and we did have a good amount of Leech, but later, this node does so much to keep your minions alive because these weapons die constantly, and 5% of life is pretty good on a player, but on a minion, your Animate Guardian on a Necro can have over 100,000 life. So getting 5% life back, and it's very excellent for mechanics like Scourge and Delirium. Normally, Guardian minions had a very big problem with Scourge Delirium type events, killing their minions. And having your minions die is enough to make you not want to play the whole build. Now, I've liked Guardian for a while now, life-based Guardian, early League starter. But you always felt like you had a little bit of problem against Necro. But now, after the armor buffs, these changes, the fact that my minions don't ever feel like they're even remotely dying. If they do, I can just get up here and get them to max block. No problem. Life gained on block. There's no way they'll die to anything other than Cyrus Degen after that, because Cyrus Degen turns off sustain, especially regen. And Guardian, as you can see how fast my minions were moving. Guardian zooms, Guardian feels excellent to play. He just has one or two just tiny little things that sometimes make it feel bad. If those things aren't happening, he's a really good ascendancy right now. If you can find the minion builds to play him with, I think he's great. The items. Chains of Command. Mandatory. Before you get Chains of Command, I highly recommend leveling with SRS. SRS was good for leveling. Might even be better now. Take the penetration elemental wheel or mastery and take these wheels. And once you get your first ascendancy, you can have 20 SRS up on the boss, no problem. They'll pretty much delete any boss leveling on a 4-link if you put them in a minion helmet. You can also do skeletons. I don't really like skeletons. You can also do Animate Weapon. Animate Weapon is kind of the obvious choice. Animate Weapon feels really clunky to summon the minions first. That's why I actually started playing this build, because I wanted to play Animate Weapon, and then I went, wow, no thank you. But Animate Weapon is one of the strongest builds in the game right now if you build it with the Chaos Scaling. But we're going to see if we can make a much smoother to play and cheaper, even cheaper than Animate Weapon version with our Guardian. You need this, and you need it 6-socketed. The 6, you don't need to link it. I bought this linked because that was the cheapest 6-socket. But these all support your animated weapons. They don't need to be linked. This is basically a 7-link. Then I also said melee splash, maybe kind of like a 7.5 link. We'll look for some good Krangles and stuff later, obviously, but that's all you need right now. Everything else you do not need. This is just rare with life and res. Line is just good shield for staying alive. 3 chaos. This helmet's to keep my boys alive, my animate guardian. Haven't needed it yet, just figured I might as well not waste any chaos, because if your animate guardian dies, his items do die, which is one part that we don't like. Life res, life res, life res, life res. These are the gloves I was talking about, kind of like a mini headhunter for your minions. The stats on it are pretty awful. The main, well, they're pretty bad. No life, and the main thing that makes it redeemable is you can actually anoint any of the blight uniques. So you can actually anoint this. Pretty awesome to get a nice anoint. We don't know what we're anointing yet. We haven't anointed this yet either. This could be a 5C rare. These could all be 1C rares. One thing that's really insane about Guardian is you get 20 res here. You get a bunch of res from having a shield on the tree. And then you also can take Purity of Elements now. It's definitely... Look, I'm not even res gun. You can definitely take this, and I highly recommend taking this in hardcore. I think getting elemental immunity for 31% after investment is insane, and you also don't need res anywhere on your gear, which is really nice because there is all sorts of weird uniques that minion builds use. You can see the build played pretty smoothly. It's a pretty standard minion tree. This is a little bit half lovely. This is our final, more hardcore style tree. We probably are going to have to pick up the duration or something. We only went to level 85 here because I'm sure there is something else that we will need to pick up. But even at level 85, we have 197% life on the tree. We have significant block. We have pretty dog gear on. Doesn't really do anything. We can get some block. We can get cap lock on this. We can have, you can't see it, but we're at 78 plus 1 plus 2 all res. So 79, 79, 78. And we have ailment immunity if we want it. We have a ton of armor. We have a huge Mountain Shell and BMS, as you saw if you were looking. And we have pretty good damage. I haven't actually really quite figured out how much poison damage you really get on this build. This is per minion, remember, and also not min-max at all. This damage goes way higher. But even to start, this is pretty good. If you have a POB, get a million or so DPS with basically nothing necessary. I didn't want it to be necessary, but it is what it is, and it's not the end of the world. We need enough duration and enough flask charges and worms to keep uptime on bosses, if that's the option we're going to go for. It might not be the thing. I did do Cyrus on Change of Command before. It was not the build I would have recommended for it, but we have gotten a lot of buffs since then. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole build. Like, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, it is a very interesting build. I do love that you can have this doubling up of gear between you and the Animate Guardian. It's one of the coolest builds because I played it before. I played Impale with Paradoxic. I'm playing it now. I can play Poison. There is such a mind-blowing amount of interactions with this build, and I love it. And it is pretty good, and you can see it is pretty smooth. I am going to upload the Poison gameplay pretty quickly after this one. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.